Over the next lessons, we're going to be building a maintenance logs table. It's a really important table that records the issues that we have within our school from a maintenance point of view. And it joins both the service areas table and the locations table. It's also a much bigger table in terms of the number of columns that we'll be building. So from the point of view of the exercise, we're going to be creating the maintenance logs table and then creating all of the new columns that we need. And it will only be in later videos that we go on to create the forms and the views. So let's move over to the exercise and start building the table. I'm in the environment in which I'm building my school maintenance solution. I'm on the Solutions tab. I'm going to select the School Maintenance Solution. I'm now going to select New, Table, and then Table Advanced Properties. The table is going to be called Maintenance Log, and the description is a log of items requiring maintenance. I can move across to the primary column. I'm going to change the display name to Maintenance Log Name. If I look under Advanced Options, I can see the schema name is pp_maintenance log name. I'm going to change the description of this field to be a reference number for the maintenance issue. I'm going to return to the Properties tab for one last check. Look at the Advanced Options. I'm happy that I don't need to change anything here. Select Save, and the table has been created. Now I'm going to move to the columns, and in the search bar I'm going to add our publisher prefix of PP, and this will present to us our custom columns. I'm going to select on the primary name field. I'm going to make a change to this column. I'm going to change the data type to be auto number. I'm going to add a prefix of issue. And this means that the data in this field will be automatically generated. I'm going to select Save. I'm going to add a new column. Select New Column. And the new column is going to be called Priority, with a description of the severity of the issue. In this case, we want to restrict the information that is put into this column. So we're going to use a choice column. Select the drop down, select choice, and then select choice once more. If we use a global choice field, then that would be available across all the tables in our environment. But I'm going to select no on this. And it'll be a local choice field. So I need to add the choices in. In this case, I'm going to have low, and then select new choice. And I've added in 3 further choices: medium, high, and not set. I'm going to update the default choice. I'm going to set it to not set. I'm going to check the advanced options, and I'm happy that the schema name is pp_priority. I'm going to select Save. I'm going to add a new column called Date Scheduled, which is going to be a date and time field. Select New Column, and add a display name of Date Scheduled and a description of the date on which we expect to resolve the issue. Select the data type. I'm going to make it date and time. I'm happy with this column. I'm going to select Save. I'm now going to add a new column called Date Completion. New column. I'm going to complete the display name and the description and change the data type to be date and time. And this time we're going to choose date only. I'm going to check the advanced options and see that the schema name is correct. I can now select Save. Because the date that the record is created and the date somebody first noticed the maintenance issue may be different, I'm going to add another column in, and it's going to be called Date Observed. Select New Column. and it's going to be called day observed. I'm going to make the data type date only, so date and time, and then date only. And I'm going to select save. Notice that this field is not currently showing as required, but we can change that. I can select on the column, and I can change the required to business required. Select save. In order to enhance the information available, we're going to add a new column, and that's going to contain an image of the issue that we've noted. New column, and it's going to be called issue photo. And the description is an image of the issue. Now I'm going to make a deliberate error here. I'm going to save this, but the data type is incorrect. I'm going to select save. So we now have an issue photo column, and the data type is single line of text. Let's see if we can change that. We can try and change it, but we're only offered text options under the data type. And that's not going to help us. So we'll need to delete this column. Select cancel, select the 3 dots next to the issue photo, then remove and then delete from this environment. Select delete. Then move back to new column, issue photo, a photo of the maintenance issue, change the data type to be file and then image. We can make this the primary image. Look at the advanced options. I'm happy with this, so I'm going to select save. And now I'm going to create 2 columns which are lookups to both our service areas table and our locations table. We need to know the type of issue that it is and where it is. If we look at the relationships, we'll see that there are relationships with lots of standard tables within Dataverse, but we don't have relationships with the tables that we require. Let's move back to columns. I'm going to filter again to PP, select new column, the display name is going to be location, and the description is going to be where the issue occurred. The data type is going to be lookup, and I need to select the related table. I can use the search option here. I can type in a location. I can select location. I look at the advanced options. And although I could change the schema name or the relationship name, I'm going to keep them as they are. I'm going to select save. And if I now look under the relationships, I can see that the location has a many-to-one relationship with this table. And it's easier to think of this as a one-to-many. One location can have many issues. And if we now look at the location table and select on relationships, we can see that the location is expressed as a one-to-many relationship. It is the same relationship. Let's move back to maintenance log, select the columns, filter to PP. We're going to add another lookup column. Select new column, and this is going to be called service area. The description is going to be a lookup to the principal service area relating to the issue, and it is a data type of lookup. Select lookup. We can search on the related table. Select service area. Look at the advanced options and then select save. Believe it or not, creating the last 2 columns means that we now have an actual data model that relates the maintenance log to the service area and the locations. But we're not quite done here. We're going to use PowerFX to create columns that allow us to perform calculations on the data in our columns. I'm going to select New Column. I'm going to say Is Completed. It is a true or false field which is calculated based on whether or not the date completion has been filled in. I'm going to select the data type. That's going to be a formula field. I'm going to complete the formula. Now there are two ways of writing this formula, and that is based on your browser settings. If you have an English language setting, then the formula will be written as follows. If open parentheses is blank, we can select on this, and then I'm going to look for the field date completion. And it's at this point the formula may change. I'm going to put a comma in here, and it'll either be false, select, put another comma in there, or true, and then close the parentheses. The reason we can see the red squiggle below the formula is because the formula is incorrect. I can change this though. I didn't put the second parentheses around date completion, and now it's correct. On screen is the alternate formula that you would need to use. Essentially, you would replace the comma with a semicolon. In order for me to save this, I need to remove this. And then select Save. I'm now going to add a new column in called Issue Age to tell us how long we've known about the issue. New column. It's called Issue Age. Add in the description. Change the data type to be formula. And then start typing the formula. Date diff. Select that. And it's between two different dates. The created date and the time now. Open brackets and then close brackets. I'll add another comma in there, and then we need to tell it the time units we wish to display this in. I'm going to say time unit dot days. Close the parentheses. I'm also going to show you how this is written if you're using the alternate PowerFX language structure. And I've replaced the commas with a semicolon. I'll change this back to the English language structure. Look at the advanced options. I can see it's going to come through as a decimal, and I can see the schema name. I'm happy with this. I'm going to select Save. And the Issue Age PowerFX formula column has been created. Now I'm going to add one final field in here, and that is the description of the issue. Select a new column. It's going to be called Description. The description is the nature of the issue. The data type is going to be text. It's actually going to be multiple lines of text. That will help it to be presented slightly better within our model-driven app. Select Save, and the description column has been created. I would recommend at this stage you compare the columns that you've created to the columns that have been created on screen, and make sure that the data types are aligned with each other, as it's particularly common for date fields to be saved as text accidentally. If you do find this is the case, simply select the three dots, remove, delete from this environment, and then recreate the column. Wow, that was a big lesson. This is a really important table. The fact that this table is joined up to the location table and the service area table means that we can do really interesting things in our model-driven app as a result. In this session, we looked at this table, said why we needed it, we created the table, and then we went on to create the fields. In the future lessons, we're going to go on and update the main form. We'll then update the view, and then at the end, we'll create a new view which only contains outstanding items. I'll see you there.